My whole point is that we all have blind spots.
Mm,
Even if we have our sight, we literally have blind spots. And if something is so big and complex, we only get to be privy to one part of this elephant. Not because we're dumb or like
right.
stupid, right? Is because we literally can only touch so much or take in so much. Because if we know
Yep.
everything, then we're probably not humans, right?
Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stephenson, the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast. I'm your host, Audley Stephenson, and it's always a pleasure to be here to share this space with you. You know, our mission is simple yet profound. It's to help you live your best audacious life ever. Whether you're navigating personal challenges or professional hurdles, we're here to provide insights, inspiration, and encouragement to empower you on your journey. I really thank you for and appreciate you for spending time, the precious time with us. And again, we'll make this a valuable and useful resource for everyone. Now, imagine embarking on a challenging hike up a steep mountain. Before you set off, you don't just grab your shoes and head out the door. You would prepare. You'd pack your backpack with essential tools like water, snacks, a map, and first aid supplies. This toolkit represents your preparation for the unexpected challenges that may arise along the way. In life, much like hiking, we face difficult situations that require us to be equipped with self-awareness, compassion, and effective communication. It's not just about having the right tools, it's about knowing when and how to use them. To be able to navigate obstacles and foster collaboration. When we befriend that elephant in the room, we create a space for healthy dialogue and connection, allowing us to tackle challenges with confidence and clarity. Today, we have the incredible Nancy Lee joining us. Nancy is a Philadelphia-based coach, public speaker, and trainer specializing in helping leaders and teams build their own toolkits for navigating difficult situations. With a background in biology and extensive experience in the pharmaceutical industry, Nancy transitioned into coaching and consulting during the pandemic, and that's where she discovered her passion for fostering a human-first culture in the workplace. Her approach really focuses on compassion, connection, and continuous improvement, making her a valuable resource for anyone looking to enhance the communication and collaboration skills. Her insights are incredibly relevant to today's episode as we dive deep into the importance of preparing for difficult situations, practicing self-compassion, and making micro adjustments to build trust within teams. Her emphasis on addressing the elephant in the room resonates with our goal of fostering open and honest communication, which is essential for achieving success in both personal and professional settings. So now that we've got you all set, let's turn to our conversation with Nancy. Enjoy. Hey, Nancy, thank you for joining me here today on the Audacious Living Podcast. I appreciate you for making the time to do this.
Well, nice to meet you, Audley, and I'm so excited to be here today.
No, it's absolutely great to engage in these types of dialogues, and I oftentimes like it to, so you and I are having a conversation, and others have the opportunity to kind of eavesdrop in on what we're saying, and if they can take something from that and use it in their own lives to get them to a better place, I mean, I'm thrilled. And so thank you for engaging this, have the opportunity to do this. Here on this podcast, so we spend much time encouraging individuals to live their best audacious life. And I think a really important thing to understand, we reinforce here, is the fact that each individual is on their own journey, their own pathway that's predestined for them, and it's incumbent on us to take that step to step into that life that's ours. And there may be challenges, there may be obstacles, there may be pitfalls, but that's where we need that courageousness and that boldness to enable us to do that. And so we've got the table set here a little bit. Perhaps as a starting point, I'd invite you in to maybe introduce yourself and talk a little about your work and the work that's got you to the point that you're at now.
Oh, yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Nancy Lee. I'm based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I am a coach, public speaker, and trainer. And specifically, I focus on helping leaders and teams create their own toolkit so they can navigate through difficult situations and get to their goal. And when I first read about Audacious Living podcast, there were two words that stood out to me about your podcast, Audley, is bold and rich. And like you said, like we all have our own paths, but each of our paths have some sort of obstacle, right? Tough situations that might also need like difficult conversations. And if we're going to really be bold, what can be more bold than having these conversations that really shows people what is important to us, how we want, what kind of relationship we want to have with this person in our lives, and also having the audacity to hear what's going on in them, right? Because sometimes it's hard to get feedback. So I would say, so oftentimes we tend to default, right, when things are tough to the first one is like, oh, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to ignore it. Like, I'm going to like sweep it under the rug. I'm a big boy or girl now. I can suck it up.
Right.
And then we get impacted, right? Like things just get building up. And how can I know? Is because we're thinking the same thoughts after like 2 hours, 2 days, even 2 weeks, right? And it gets to a point where, wow, the straw finally breaks this camel's back and we have explosion, right? How dare you do this to me? You're wrong. I'm right. How can you be so inconsiderate? And I think we live in a world right now, I'm saying across the board, where we're seeing this behavior, not willing to have these difficult conversations and these difficult situations, but also exploding over people when we can't bear it anymore. So I think if we're going to live audacious lives, if we're going to be bold, if we're going to ultimately live rich lives, like you said, and get to where we want to go, I think we have to build a toolkit, because you don't send your kid to school, or even if you were a kid at school on a field trip, you don't be like, hey kid, bye, just enjoy your trip. You pack them a book bag, water, snack, lunch, right? A book or toy. Right. And even if you go on vacation, you don't just like run out the door with nothing. You pack your suitcase, right?
That's right.
Shirt, maybe a jacket and some toiletry because you need to brush your teeth. But how come when we go into difficult situations or we know something difficult is happening, we don't prepare for it? We don't have a toolkit. We're just like, we're going to wing it, right? I'm just going to say what's on my mind and that's it. Or like, I'm just going to suck it up and say sorry, for example. Those are different strategies. So I think having a toolkit enables us to be like, oh yeah, right now I'm hungry. I need to eat. Right now I'm bored. I need to play. Or like right now, this person's like doing this. What can I do to respond that treats myself and the other person well? I think that's where I want to get. That's where I want to get leadership and team to do that. Not just about getting my way only, because then that's all barreling over, right? Yeah.
And so what I love about the conversation about toolkit, really what we're talking about is helping prepare people, right? So it's not that there's an issue right now that we're dealing with. It's building up the toolkit, the resources. And when you talk about tool, I think if I open up a toolbox, I've got a hammer, I've got a wrench, I've got a screwdriver, I've got a saw, and any of those might be what I use in that particular moment. But to have them all at your disposal, and so that's what I think of. And I think it's such a worthwhile endeavor to practice, right? To build that toolkit up. So are we going to cover every possible scenario that happens to us? We're not. I mean, I oftentimes joke and say, when problems arise, someone's not going to knock on your door and say, hey, at 3:00, some really bad things are going to happen. So it's not going to happen. You've just got to be prepared. And so that's what I think of when you talk about toolkit. Yeah,
you made two great points I want to respond to. The first is you have to be prepared. But the reality is that when people come to me, they already have it, or they've been stuck for weeks, if not months. And for example, in a workplace, it's like literally have you ever been there where you literally have the same meetings over and over again, where you have your project goal and you're like, wait, why are we kind of having deja vu or like Groundhog's Day? And I thought we already resolved it, but why is it coming back up, right? So that's one example. And it gets between you and your goal is so frustrating, right? Especially if the year end is nearby, right?
Right.
So I think a lot of people who come to me already are in situations. So I would love to turn that mindset into be like, difficult situations are going to come up. So let's not kid ourselves and be like head in the sand.
Right.
Don't look at it. To your second point about having a toolkit, there are different tools, like you said, a wrench, a screwdriver, a hammer, but everyone is different.
Yes.
So you need to find what works for you.
Right.
Right? You have your own lived experiences. We all have our own triggers.
So important.
We all have our preferences and likes and dislikes. So I'm not going to say there's a holy grail, right? Or the silver bullet. So what I do have is 3 principles.
Okay.
And if you believe in these principles, then we go through different ways to incorporate this principle. And you go through this almost like a detective or a scientist and be like, what works for me?
Yep. That's right.
No one else. So that's how I do it. I base my work on 3 principles, and you got to find your own tools, but I'll find it with you.
Right. I'd love to learn more about these 3 principles.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad you're setting you up to ask that. Thank you for playing along.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So the principle number 1, I like to do principles. The more A, the more B I get.
Okay.
So that's kind of like a simple equation. The more I do A, the more I get B.
Okay.
So the first principle is the more I connect the human mind with the animal body, the more I reduce my anxiety and increase clarity.
Oh.
I'll say it again. The more I connect my human mind with my animal body, the more I reduce my anxiety and increase clarity. So what comes to mind when I say that? I'm curious.
Well, I actually go to disconnect. So the root cause of it. So this has happened because there's a disconnect between the mind and body.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. I love that. You're right on point. I think if you ever read I don't know if you ever read like Difficult Conversations book, Crucial Conversations, right? And it seems like, wow, I just jump into these hard conversations or like when a problem comes up, we think about it a lot. And we're like, oh, yeah, no, I come up with a solution. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to request a time to talk. I'm going to lay out these 3 bullet points. And then like, okay, that's a strategy. Okay, so if that's already your strategy, why are you still thinking about it like 2 hours later, 5 hours later, right? Well, it's because we cannot outthink our way out of a problem. We cannot outthink our way out of a problem.
No matter how hard we try.
No, because we have an animal body. Have you ever heard of something called amygdala hijack?
Right. Yes, I think I have.
This little thing in the brain that like triggers all these emotions, and also limbic system, which is the reptile brain, right?
Yes.
So your brain is so beautiful, it's human, it's fantastic. It could make predictions, has imagination, it could problem solve, but your body is just like, rah. So what we need to do is bring our body along.
Right.
It's very somatic, right? And there are ways to do that. So some things, for example, would be simple as like shaking it out. Literally, have you ever seen a dog in a dog park after they fight?
Yep.
Or ducks? Right. What do they do after they fight?
They shake it off.
They shake it up.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's one way, but it may not work for you, right? So we need to walk through different ways. So the first is that we need to connect the human mind with the animal body, is that reduces anxiety. The body keeps the score.
Yes.
Right? It keeps the score. Oh, that person wasn't fair to me. That didn't feel good.
Right.
I'm going to pay back double what they gave me, right? So yeah. How does that sound when I just like shared it with you?
Oh, it makes total sense. And again, I go back. I mean, and maybe this is me. I sort of spent a lot of time on the why part. Like, why is this taking place? And so that's why my thinking went to the my conclusion was, okay, there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect between the mind and the body, and that's why there's that the issue exists. I absolutely agree with you just around the fact that our body does keep record and does keep score of what's going on, and long after the situation's over, it sits with us, and it certainly can lead to sort of other physical ailments or challenges if we're just not careful.
Yeah, so you're pointing to the long-term stress, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. And that they say like short-term stress is great. It's like very motivating. Oh my gosh, my homework is due next night, or my big client presentation. It's great, but once you're done, you're like, ooh, right? You got to rev down. But if we're in constant long-term stress, that's create like health problems. Our immune system goes down, right? We might even put extra stress into our heart, and heart attacks and such. So yeah, I think that's a great point about that.
Very good. But principle number two is that
Yeah. Principle number two is the more compassion you have for yourself and the other person, the more you open pathways and roles for you to be effective together. So the more compassion you have for yourself and other person, the more you open up roles and pathways to work together effectively. Because, difficult situation and tension and friction naturally closes in, right? It's like, oh, my way or the highway, black or white, left or right.
Yep.
Right. And then it means like that person or even me could only take certain roles. Right. And the thing is that oftentimes we don't acknowledge how hard it is. And if the C word compassion is too much, swap it out. There's other alternatives I offer, because I know everybody has different relationship words.
Yep.
You say empathy. Okay. Nancy, I hate the word empathy. Okay.
Kind. Use a K word, kind.
Kindness. It's also perspective taking. It's also walking on the shoes of somebody else. It's also curiosity. Oh, why would they do what they do? It makes no sense to me. So, but the first is even acknowledging like, wow, like I'm having a tough time right now. Right. And you know how oftentimes, I don't know if you get this experience, our friends might say like, we share something with them and then we go straight to fixing.
Right.
Like, oh my God, you have a problem. Well, let me give you this thing that really worked for me. Oh, have you read this book? Have you tried this? And you're like, hey, I'm not there yet. I just want you to listen for like 5 minutes.
That's right.
Yeah. So
that time the process, and so what I really love about that is because and as you started to explain that second principle, I started to smile because I'm a big fan of compassion because I truly believe that compassion leads to connection, and when you're able to connect, then you're able to work together collectively to achieve what it is that you're after, and whether that be in the workplace or outside of the workplace in your personal life. That connectivity piece is so important, and what better way to do that? It's to let someone know that you understand where they're coming from, that you see their perspective, as you said earlier, or that you understand or have an awareness of perhaps what they're dealing with. Those things help build stronger connections. And I think compassion is a fantastic tool.
And I love how you keep on like staying on a connection, because I think the first tool, the principle, is about connecting with yourself.
Yes.
Right. So oftentimes we disconnect, like you said, the mind and the body. But then the next step is to connect, after we connect the bodies, connect to our own emotions. And if emotions are uncomfortable, what are we needing right now? This is such a tense situation. Maybe I need some respect. Maybe I need some mutuality. And even that is compassion or connection, right? Because now you're not just going in to be like, I'm just like really mad at something. Like that's because I have a strong need. And then so beyond that, then when we connect to the self, then we can stand more firmly and then connect to the other person, right? Because then now we're like, oh, I wonder what they're feeling.
Right.
And maybe you're like, I don't care, right? And that's when you're like, realize that's a signal for me when it's like, I have no curiosity for the other person. I don't care. And I'm calling them names. That's when I was like, oh my gosh, my cup is empty. My cup is so empty. I'm running on such low fuel.
Right.
That's when I need to ask for help. Hey, friend, can you just listen to me for 5 minutes? And don't give me advice, but just reflect back what you think is important to me or what you think you heard that really touched you, right? And you don't need special training to do that. Just setting up the parameters and what it means to be heard. And I think a lot of times we don't ask for it.
Yeah.
Only when our cup is filled, then we can get curious somebody else. A lot of books on communication advice is like, oh, be curious of a person. Like they walk in their shoes and like, that doesn't work. If you're like mad and you're not empathized enough, or heard enough, because then this little inner critic is like, I don't care about what they think. They don't care about me. Why should I care about them? Right.
Yeah. Maybe that's something you do at a later stage, perhaps. Right. But in the initial instance, in that moment, it's very, very, very difficult. Not something you just don't do because someone said, hey, do this, and it's fine. It takes a lot of work to do that.
It does. It takes a lot of self-care. and awareness, like, and we all have our conditioning because we all grew up in certain circumstances. So after you get the first two principles, do
Yep.
some level of those principles, then you're ready for the third principle, which is the more micro adjustments you make for feedback,
Okay.
the more you increase trust, which then helps you get to your goal. The more you make micro adjustments for feedback, the more you increase trust so that you can get to your goal together.
Mm. And give me an example of a micro adjustment. What you
Yeah, I'm going to be telling you a story, but I also first want to acknowledge if the F word, feedback, is triggering. I want to acknowledge that feedback has been done sometimes harmfully,
Sure.
unskillfully, or hurtfully, right? Have you ever heard of the feedback sandwich?
That's right.
Yeah. No.
That's right.
Right. The feedback sandwich where you say something good.
Yeah.
Really give them what you think, and then you say
Right.
something good, and you're like,
Right.
that's confusing, first of all. And second of all, are you doing it for the person you're giving feedback, or you're just trying to shield yourself from feeling like a bad person, right?
That's right. The guilt.
The guilt, right? And I'm air quoting bad person, and when you're on like audio, this is not useful, but just letting I air quoted bad person.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So back to your question, right? What is micro feedback? Micro adjustments. So, okay, you're sailing on a boat. You're captain of a ship. You're leaving from the UK, London. You're sailing across the Atlantic to the US. The difference of 4 degrees in your navigation determines if you land in New York City, still need to wear your winter jacket, or you land in Miami, sipping your favorite drink on the warm beach. But as you sail across the Atlantic, you got to watch out for waves, the wind, the sun. There might be literal obstacles in the ocean.
Yes.
There might be another ship passing by. There might be storms. So you need to make adjustments. You can't just say, I want to go to Miami, just straight on.
That's right.
Make any changes, because you're probably going to not get there smoothly or safely. So, and especially, I want to clarify, the bigger the ship, more you need to make micro adjustments, because if you try to do something too fast on big things, what would it do? Let's say I want to like just turn the ship around literally right away. What happens?
Well, wouldn't a chance of sinking? Isn't that possible? Yeah,
it will stall, and then at one point be like, sink.
Right? That's right. That's right.
If you think about difficult situations, these are big things. These are heavy things.
Yes.
For you and the other person. So to be like, we're gonna fix everything right now.
Right.
It's like,
so I was going to say what I really love about that analogy is that it's an ongoing process. So if you're going across the Atlantic, you're always having to make some sort of micro adjustment. The wave might push you one way, may have to go back. You might be on your pathway and something else comes up, and you got to make that adjustment again. And so the point is, it's an ongoing process to get to that final destination.
Yes. And I think a lot of times so one thing I would add to that is the idea of like, some people say that I have one true self. This is just who I am, right? And that becomes very monolithic. And when we become monolithic, it's like we're not able to make those micro adjustments. So one language I like to use to work with clients is, instead of saying, I'm feeling X or I am X, a part of me is X. A part of me is angry. A part of me is frustrated. A part of me is disappointed. Right. So you see, like even when we change the language to say like, all I am pissed, all of me is pissed, versus a part of me. Right. And it's very interesting. The Irish actually has a different way. They have Gaelic, and they say, instead of saying a part of me, they say, this is visiting me.
Okay.
Right. So it's almost like that feeling or that situation is visiting me or on me. I like
that.
Right. So
it's not meant to stay. It's visiting.
Yeah, exactly. And it also gives you some perspective too, like some distance, because sometimes it comes so close. You're like, oh my God, it's totally in my face.
Yes.
And that's all I can see, versus a distance, you see a bigger picture. So again, that ties to the self-compassion, right?
Gotcha.
So, okay, in terms of feedback, right? So how do you do it? And so feedback is a mechanism to provide micro adjustments.
Okay.
And there's many different ways to do it. There's many beautiful communications tools and styles. And one of the ones I like to use is called nonviolent communication.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you a brief overview, but I want to caution the listener. It is not like, oh, I did A, B, and C. Now I expect this magical result, right?
Right.
I want to caution it because whenever you use any tool like that, including any of the tools in this toolkit you're assembling, be like, when I press this lever, push this button, and twirl around 3 times, it's going to always work, right? And then it sets us up for disappointment.
Right.
This is not true. It increases your possibility. But if you go in without any toolkit, you're going to have a much lower possibility. And I want to live in a world of possibilities.
Right.
So nonviolent communication overall has a framework: is observation, feelings, needs, and requests. So observation is purely like, I observe something. Instead of saying, you're always late. You're always late. I can't believe you.
Right.
Say, hey, the last 2 times we met, you were late by like 15, 20 minutes. Right. So that's an observation. And the second is then like feeling. I'm feeling a bit frustrated. Right. Need, because I have a need for just shared reality that when we say we're going to meet at noon for lunch, we're going to meet for noon because I get hungry at noon, right?
Right.
And then the request, the whole idea is not to make a negative request. We actually live in a world with a lot of negative requests. So that means don't do that. Stop doing that. You know, and especially in parenting, how often, if you have a young child, stop doing that.
Right.
Or the child in turn learns what's the first favorite word or the second favorite word. No. No, right? So part of it is like conditioning to say like, because we want to, but think about it. If they're doing something to meet their needs and you told them to stop it, how are they going to meet their needs? You're cutting them off.
Gotcha.
So if you make a positive request, which is do something else instead. So the thing could be like, hey, in this case, your friend is already running late. Like, hey, can we talk about this? Like, what's getting in the way of you coming on time?
Gotcha.
And then when you have that conversation, or you can suggest like, hey, do you mind putting it like 15 minutes earlier into your calendar? Right.
Right. Yep.
And then how does that sound? And again, this is a request. And if you think you should do it, you have to do it. It's not a request, it's a demand. And then that's again noticing like, wow, I'm demanding it. And yeah, so that's just a simple example, but it could be applied in other places too, just to even start to have that space to even have a conversation. And when it's really hard, difficult situation, that you could take another step back to say, can we have a conversation about how we would like to have a conversation?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
The meta conversation.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm wondering around sort of question asking. So, for example, using on the the late, hey, you've been late 2 times. The question around, what's happening for you? Is there something wrong? Is there or maybe not wrong, but just questioning is it more so to understand what's happening with that individual.
Yeah. And it's interesting. You're like, when you say, you notice me stiffen up when you say what's wrong.
Right.
So again, that's like bringing judgment, right?
Yes, that's right. You're right.
I think it's very easy to do that. I want to first say that. But so the idea is like, hey, like what's happening for you?
Yeah.
Right. I wonder what's getting in your way of coming to meet me on time.
Right.
Versus
so that's done on the observation stage, or where would that take place?
So you could, observation is, you came twice. You came late the 2 times I met with you. But a request is that, can you share with me like what's happening for you that you show up late? And then, they might share something about, I'm just like a very hairy person, And then you can say, well, I understand it's hard for you, but I also really want to make sure, I could do something, that meets my needs and then, so there could be a back and forth conversation. And I want to make sure that like, just because is your request doesn't mean they're the ones changing. For example, if they really can't, then maybe your strategy is, I'm going to bring a book with me, knowing that this person will always be 15 minutes late. And I'm just going to read a book for 15 minutes, or I'm going to meditate for 15 minutes. Right.
Yes.
So I want to make sure whenever we make a request, it's not always the other person changing. Sometimes we realize, oh, wow, it's not possible. That person just has a lot of ADHD, for example.
Gotcha. I
And
understand.
we gotta honor each other's limitations.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. We were talking about adjustments and changes, and I actually kind of want to go back because when I was reading a little information about yourself, you started off studying biology,
I did.
right? And
Yes.
now there's a transition into another direction. Could you would mind filling in the gaps or how that happened for you?
Yeah. So I was a biology major. I thought I was going to do research in a lab.
Hmm.
Working in a lab, I realized I'm more extroverted than I think I am.
That's
I can't
awesome.
just pipette all day. But for me, I was working with cells and running gels. So I landed in market research in the pharmaceutical industry. And I decided, wow, I'm not prepared for the business world.
Okay.
I just studied biology, but I don't want to do research anymore. So I went to get an MBA from NYU.
Hmm.
And then from there, I entered a pharmaceutical company and doing the marketing rotation program. And I ended up in different roles, but ultimately, before I became a coach and speaker, I landed in a business consulting
Okay.
role in a big company. And I would love to share with you the story of what made me decide to do this on my own.
Hmm.
Is during the pandemic, I was actually laid off from one team, the beginning of pandemic, because we were losing clients.
Yes. Yes.
And thankfully, so lucky, HR placed me into another team right away.
Hmm.
It's a huge learning curve. And within less than a year, a new senior leader came. And whenever senior leader management comes into a new role, there wasn't these big, bold visions.
Yes. Yes.
And I said, this is wonderful. But the reality is a lot of them are junior team members are not business people. And to reach your goals, I think I would like to help you define it and set a path to it for roles, responsibilities, and timelines,
Okay.
because our team was going through such change and also had low morale. And the second request is, can we fix the culture? So I ran team meetings for a whole year and trainings. And during that time, I had really open conversations, like at every team meeting, to be like, what is the culture you want? And when I say culture, I'm going to air quote now, like it's not going to be, let's be innovative, let's be collaborative. These are beautiful words, are adjectives that we
Hmm.
aspire to.
Yep.
But when you say collaborative, what action, behavior, and speech that you can actually observe, see, hear, touch, like taste, smell, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
That exemplifies that behavior for you or that culture for you.
Right.
And we have to literally everybody on this 15-person team got to share. And
Gotcha.
over time, something organically called human first culture emerged.
Okay.
And let's treat each other as human beings first and foremost.
Love
And
it.
so some examples is like a junior team member, their grandparent passed in
Okay.
Japan. So we're like, how can we work with you so you could go to Japan to be with your family and keep the projects going? And what can we take off for the plate for a little bit? Another team member, their family was living in Florida and they had a hurricane.
Okay.
They moved. They had two young children actually. And so they had to live in, out of suitcase at their relatives' house for weeks. So we pulled together some money. Their house was damaged, but also figure out again, like how do we juggle the work while you're going through this such acute phase.
Right.
Senior leaders are willing to do a 360-degree survey. Now let's get to the juicy part. You're like, okay, that feels great, Nancy, but
Yep.
tell
Yep. Yep.
me the
Yep.
bottom line. We're able to get new clients, which is a testament to senior leaders selling. Absolutely. We're able to do the projects, which is a testament to junior people knowing their work, being
Yep.
trained well, and actually implementing, and the managers who manage the projects. And
Hmm.
then also our annual employee survey went from the bottom of the heap to the top. So culture change, in this case, through managing through a difficult situation actually works.
Right.
So
Right.
that's one example I love to share. And it made me realize like this is something I want to do for more people. And since then I've helped, a junior team person who has a lot of potential navigate through difficult situations with clients to
Hmm.
be able to be really good at actually navigating. And then
Right.
they actually got a promotion pretty quickly in their career.
Oh, beautiful.
And I also
Beautiful.
helped a senior person just, having, like I shared before, in those same meetings over and over again
Yes.
with their peers. high level peers and just like, why are we not reaching an agreement? Right. And to navigate it for a different way. So yeah.
I love it, and again, that creating that human first culture, it's so funny. And now, so if you look at sort of the advent of AI and how the impacts that's having on our workplaces and the culture overall, you're seeing that human piece is kind of slowly dwindling a little bit, and we're forgetting about that. And quite frankly, I believe that's a starting point, any sort of positive change.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting you brought up AI,
Hmm.
and because I think it's been like the hot word on everyone's lips right
Sure.
now. And
Yeah.
I actually had a really interesting conversation with a person who works in AI actually.
Okay.
So here we are. I'm more like AI cautious and they're like really pro AI. And we had a really wonderful conversation in which this person said they want to take the emotionality out of the buying process.
Okay.
So meaning, okay, when we have to make a choice, especially businesses need to make choices about vendors or contractors, there's just so much out there. And as a human, we might be influenced by these different emotions.
Right.
So what if we not, they're not proposing like take out all emotionality, but like AI has the capacity to reduce like emotionality because then you're really going by facts, right?
Right.
Like how many horsepower or like how many hours or how much it costs, right? So I appreciate that perspective about one way to use AI. But then on the flip side, I'm like, well, emotions are like the messengers telling
That's
us
right.
what is important.
That's right.
So, and sometimes we could be very overwhelmed. That's why I have so many emotions. They could be loud. But for me, is like and I'm not proposing extremes, right? I'm just saying that if you always turn down the messenger or shoot down the messengers, you'll never hear the message, right?
Hmm. That's right. That's
So
right.
can we find a middle ground? I
That's
think,
right.
and I do want to acknowledge that AI will make things obsolete too. Like the typewriter, the computer, how many secretaries were laid off, right?
That's right.
Or administrative people were laid off. But yet now we live in a world where we expect apps and programs to do our timing. A calendar, I cannot live without my digital calendar,
Right.
right? So I remember using a paper planner while I
Yeah.
was in school. So again, like how can we live in a different way and put AI in context, I think.
Gotcha. That's right. That's right.
And that's not easy. I don't think it's an easy question.
Well, it's interesting. I oftentimes think that we have to remember that AI is still a tool that we
Yes.
can use. And if you understand it's a tool, then you understand its place in sort
Yes.
of the entire framework. It's not it's not leading the charge, it's part of the charge, if you will.
Yeah, that's a great thing. And I think whenever we say tool, going back to toolkit,
Hmm.
what is your intention then? Right? When you have this toolkit, whether it's to help you deal with a difficult situation or
That's
AI,
right.
how are you going to use it? And I think sometimes if we think we have everything, we only have a hammer, then everything is a nail, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So if we tend to rely on AI too much, or even rely on any of the things too much, then it becomes like, oh, I'm going to use it all the time versus the wisdom or the discernment to be like,
Right.
hey,
Right.
I might be coming on too strong here.
That's
Like
right. That's right.
maybe
That's
I
right.
need to step it up. Like I've
That's
been
right.
listening a lot. I think it's my turn to speak now. Right.
That's right. No, and that's exact. And I think again going back to that sort of toolkit sort of analogy, it's understanding this is a situation I'm in. I discern which tool I'm going to use or I need to use to help. And I think that this really helps us. It can be a good way of helping us understand our approach to take, because
Yeah.
there are times that you will need that hammer, but there's other
Yes.
times it has to be a saw, and that's the only thing that can work. And why that's such a great approach of what we're talking about here is it allows you to be able to see what areas do I need to strengthen and work on to get better at, right?
Yeah.
When I see a nail, I know exactly what to do. I got it.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
when I need to screw that screwdriver, and I'm not really sure if the hammer's gonna do it. So therefore, I need to work on my screwdriving skills, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes it's hard to learn new skills. It's awkward at first. I want to first say that it's so awkward at first and maybe uncomfortable. But the more we practice and particularly starting in places that feel, so don't go to the hardest things, right?
Right.
Start with the small things and build that muscle. It's like going to the gym. We're not going to lift like 80 pounds or whatever. I mean, I don't lift weights. So right away, we have to build
Right.
up to it. So,
That's
and
right.
I think also another thing I want to put on the radar is not that we'll never feel anxious. We'll never like not feel anxious when we have these things. It's not, the whole idea is not to be impermeable.
That's right. That's right. That's
It's
right.
not going to be indestructible or
Hmm.
invincible. Is to like be like, oh, like this hurts, but do I need to add a second arrow to it? So the whole idea is that, okay, someone shoots with an arrow, ouch, that hurts. But then we shoot the second arrow, like, oh, you can't do anything right. I can't believe you did it, meaning the
Right.
self-talk, right? Then the
Yep.
third arrow, wow, like that was the same time with this situation and that friend or that coworker. And then the fourth arrow, I can't believe you're at this age and you're still acting this way. You know, the arrows can keep coming that we keep shooting ourselves. I think
Mm,
that's where the self-compassion comes in. Be like, oh,
yeah.
ouch, that
Yeah.
arrow really wounded me. And
Gotcha.
let me tend to that wound and maybe instead of keep shooting myself, maybe I could like notice when I shot myself with the fourth arrow versus the 14th arrow, right?
Right.
It takes a lot of awareness, actually.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It totally does. No, it absolutely does. And Nancy, one of the things I absolutely made a note to make sure I wanted to ask you about, and I'm going to do so now before I forget,
Yeah.
is befriending the elephant. Tell me about that. It's intriguing. I'm very,
Yeah.
very curious. I'd love to know, if you elaborate further, please.
Yeah. So it's actually a speech that I give.
Okay.
And it's just a cheeky, fun title to say, if you saw like elephant in the room, right? We don't talk about the elephant room, but it's huge. It's
Yes.
huge. We could feel its presence. It's like almost oppressive, right? We could hear it or we could smell it, right? Especially if there's a lot of fear in the air. So I entitle my talk, Befriending the Elephant in the Meeting Room, and the three principles to help you navigate for difficult situations and get to your goal. So what I just told you about is the elephant, because the elephant, we kind of like ignore it and try to hide it behind a bookcase, right? And hide it behind like a
Yes.
pretty tapestry. That's the whole shoving it underneath the rug situation. Or the elephant starts rampaging and just starts stepping on things and people. So that's I like that analogy of just, hey,
Hmm.
like there's an elephant in the room
It's a good
and
one.
you don't know how to talk about it. And also I'll leave you another elephant story.
Okay. Yeah, please.
So I feel the reason why we need to walk through difficult situations together is the reality is that we live in an ever increasingly complex world where even in our personal lives, unless we're hermits, it depends on collaboration, depends on partnership, especially work too, right? Unless your work is literally like just turning a screw or a widget all the time, like
Right.
you need communication and like collaboration with another person.
Yes.
So there's a story about the elephant and the blind people. So once
Okay.
upon a time, there is a village and a merchant bought this huge elephant. And the villagers had never seen an elephant before. They had no idea what it is. Like we're so excited and they're coming into the town square. And in the village, there were several blind people. And
Okay.
of course, the blind people can't see, but the villagers also want to share this experience with them. They're like, come on out. So these blind people, the first blind person touches the ear of the elephant.
Okay.
It's like, I know what an elephant is. It's like a fan that I cool myself down in the summer. That's what an elephant is. So another one touches the tail. No, you're wrong. An elephant is like a rope that I could tie things with.
Okay.
Okay. Another person touches the leg of an elephant, of the elephant. They're like, oh my gosh, both of you are so wrong. Elephant is like a tree trunk, like a tree. I could just lean on it, and so, and then at some point they kept arguing. They're like, what are you talking about? It's a fan. No, it's a rope. No, it's a tree trunk. They kept arguing. So my whole point is that we all have blind spots.
Mm.
Even if we have our sight, we literally have blind spots. And if something is so big and complex, we only get to be privy to one part of this elephant. Not because we're dumb or like
Right.
stupid, right, is because we literally can only touch so much or take in so much. Because if we
Yep.
know everything, then we're probably not humans, right? We're probably about something bigger. So how do we work together? Knowing that if something is much bigger and we all have a certain perspective, how do we then share, like, hey, like maybe the person be like, hey, actually, it makes sense that it's a fan, but I wonder maybe the fan is attached to the rope, which is attached to the tree trunk,
Mm.
and then you get this kind of a monster drawing.
Right. Right.
But at least it's still closer than only a fan, right?
Gotcha.
And sometimes we get these perspectives. So that's another elephant story I resonate with. Is always like, especially when I feel like I know everything, it's
Hmm.
very humbling to be like, oh, I have my blind spots. I'm only seeing one part. And sometimes I don't care. I want to just mow them over. That's okay too. That's when I need more compassion and empathy.
That's it. And the A word, awareness, really jumped out at me as you were talking about that, because that's sort of a little bit of the starting point, the awareness of those blind spots, awareness of the possibility of blind spots even. So you may not know what they are, but at least be open to understanding that perhaps I'm missing something. And so that collaboration piece, bring others in that have different perspectives, have different viewpoints, that don't have the same blind spots as you, is a good thing, because it helps you and see the entire big picture, in this case, the entire elephant.
Yeah, yeah. And if we're gonna live bold, rich lives, the reality is that like we don't do things alone,
That's
right?
it.
We can't. Like, look at how complex, like even getting an apple, right, to your home. Like, where was it grown? Who had to tend to this apple orchard? And then you have to like give it the right fertilizer and sunshine, and then you have to water it, and then you have to pack it, and then ship it. Before the apple to get from the farm to the table, even
Yeah.
if it's a local farm, not being shipped from somewhere else, requires so many steps in between for you to really enjoy this apple, right? And we don't get to see that. And to get to your point, you kept saying connection,
Mm.
right? Like we're talked about the connection with the self, then we talked about connection with the person who's right in front of us. But now,
Yes.
I want to build it up actually bigger connection with the world,
Hmm.
right? And we live in these, like, our food chain supply. It's not possible unless we grow our own food.
That's
And
right.
even when we grow our own food, most climates have winter, right? So how are you going to grow your own food and like survive winter?
Right.
We need each other.
That's
So
right.
I think it's easy to get frustrated, get lost in the friction points, get angry.
Hmm.
And I think, but if that's the case, and we keep on using like us versus them language on any side, it's going to reduce our humanity, because
Gotcha.
how I treat you is also a reflection of how I treat myself sometimes. So if you make a mistake and I'm just like screaming at you, I'm willing to bet money, lots of money. When I make a mistake, I'm screaming at myself too,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
we don't give people totally different truth. We could pretend to be polite for a while, right? But when things come up, that's when we see like, oh, okay, that's what's happening. And I'm not saying to shame that,
No.
but just to be aware of, oh wow, when this happens, I am so like these things come out. I'm not shaming it, but just
Hmm.
naming it, right?
Yes.
And that helps when you're just like, oh wow, that's just my natural tendency for now.
Wow. I love it. I really do. I think, Nancy, you've really keyed on some important points, that, and I know you're a lot of your specialties with leaders, but certainly some important points that we can use in our own personal lives. And I think the workplace and the home place, they very much mirror each other, and the things that I think the things that we're talking about can be used effectively in both environments. So I appreciate you sharing those. I certainly appreciate the insights, and thank you for clearing the clearing out the befriending of the elephant for me, because I wanted to know more about that, and you helped me understand that too. So that's awesome. For listeners that wanted to connect with you directly and learn more about your work, where can we send them?
Yeah, I'm curious. You have show notes, I'm guessing.
I do. I
Or
do.
okay, I'll put it in the show notes. You could go find me on LinkedIn, Nancy Lee. I'm not Li, but I'm not the only Nancy Lee. So you might have to type in Coach or Philadelphia, because there's
Okay.
other Nancy Lees that for me. So find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there. Actually, I really also invite you to come to my website and sign up for, because even if you follow me on social media, you know how social media algorithm only shows your post to 10% of your followers.
Sure.
Yeah, so the best way to stay in touch is to sign up for my email list. And I won't endeavor to spell my website out because it's actually not my own name.
Okay.
But it's Panya, which is going to be in the show notes. So I really encourage people to stay in touch. It's a
Okay.
weekly newsletter. I would say it's like akin to receiving a newsletter from about someone who's really obsessed maybe or focused on difficult situations and how we navigate it. And
Yep.
sometimes that person is contrarian. So
Yes.
I really encourage you to, and I do read any emails I get back in return because I love interacting to see how people perceive things. So
Mhm.
yeah, join my email list, or you want to stay in contact professionally by me, come to my email list.
For sure. Well, and again, we'll make sure that is in the show notes below. Nancy, this has been absolutely awesome. I really, really do appreciate the insights and the sharing, and the perspectives are wonderful. Congratulations on the work that you're doing. I think that
Yeah.
through our own individual efforts, we absolutely are doing everything we can to make this world as audacious as possible. And thank you for being a guest today on the Audacious Living Podcast.
And thank you, Audley, for having me as a guest. I love your questions and your insights.
Thank you.
What I'm taking from it is connection. Really, you
Mhm.
really like nailed it in, and I'm glad that the toolkit analogy resonated with you. I think
Oh.
also maybe you're a bit handy as a guy. I'm guessing. I don't want to stereotype. I'm guessing you're handy, so the toolkit makes sense to you.
It does. No, it does. And I think again, it's those options. That's what really gets me excited about that when we talk about the toolkit is that there are options at our disposal, and will they absolutely cover every single situation? Maybe not. But they'll give you closer. You'll get a lot closer to where you need to be, and
Yes.
it also gives you an indication as to what else you need to do to cover that particular situation that you're in. So I think it works perfectly.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. And if any leaders or anybody who's in a tough situation right now listening on this podcast and want to explore creating their own toolkit, or maybe even after they do it, also bring it to their team. So again, like I don't believe just only the leaders doing the change work or the culture shift. You have to bring the team along.
Yes.
So what I like to work with is not only leader, but then doing training for the team
Yeah.
because you have to all move together, or else,
Yes.
because you could only move as the slowest person, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
yeah, the fastest person to go far. Like, I mean, there is a quote, right? Attribute, I don't know if it's like totally true to attribution. If you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go together. And it's attributed as an African proverb.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great. Nancy, thank you. This has been awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Audley.
Back we are here on the podcast. During our chat with Nancy, she shared some powerful principles that I believe can transform how we approach challenges. The idea of having a toolkit for difficult situations struck a chord with me. It's not just about having, a set of strategies, but it's about being prepared and self-aware as we navigate the complexities of life. I simply loved how Nancy emphasized the value of compassion, not only for ourselves, but also for others. By understanding, acknowledging our own emotions, we can create a space for empathy and connection, which ultimately leads to better collaboration and successful outcomes. What I found particularly compelling was her analogy about befriending the elephant in the room. This concept of addressing uncomfortable truths head on is essential for healthy communication. It encourages us to engage in open dialogues that foster trust and understanding amongst team members. Now, if you're inspired by Nancy's insights and would like to connect with her directly, be sure to check out the contact details. Of course, we got you. They are in the show notes below. She's very, very active on LinkedIn, and I know firsthand because I've seen her work, and so I would definitely encourage you to check her out there, or you can visit her website because it also offers valuable resources for anyone looking to enhance their leadership and communication skills. Nancy also has some exciting offerings available for listeners, including a newsletter filled with tips and strategies for navigating difficult conversations and building effective teams. Be sure to sign up on our website to stay connected and receive those valuable insights. Again, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for tuning in to the Audacious Living Podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode and found value in the conversation, please take a moment to like, follow, subscribe, or share this podcast with family and friends if you haven't already done so. Your support helps us to grow and reach even more listeners who, like you, are eager to live their best audacious lives. I encourage you to keep embracing your audacity and take bold steps toward your dreams. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You've been listening to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by Audley Stephenson. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be audacious.